All right, everybody, welcome back to the post-game show to get you in the know. I am Ethan here with special guest Reggie from Twitter here, and also we have Dome Discussions, Caleb in here with us to chat about everything going on with the Saints and this loss that we are having a tough time swallowing again. It feels like another one where it was right there. We were almost there, and it just didn't quite pan out in our favor. But immediate reaction for me is just it's going to be tough to watch a lot of the same losses in a season, and I think that's the direction we're going. But what do you guys, the kind of immediate reaction? I'll go to Caleb first since he's next in camera, and then we'll hop to you, Reggie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I hate is that the Saints were so close in both these games and just didn't get it done. And there's like so many reasons why they didn't get it done, but there's so many positives to also take away from the games. So it's kind of frustrating because you see the good things and then it just doesn't happen. And this game, in my opinion, was even worse because we've seen a good defense for past how many years, kind of since Drew Brees retired, carry a not great offense and really keep the Saints into games or in games. But this time, it really felt like the offense was the thing that kept the Saints in the game, and the defense was letting up how many third and longs? It was getting bad. So it was a little bit more frustrating this game compared to the Cardinals game.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Reggie? Immediate reaction?
Initial reaction, I have to agree. I have to agree is what I'm looking for with the offense. Who's gonna be the Demario Davis of the offense? Who's gonna step up and hold everybody accountable? When the offense, I was hoping it would maybe be Alvin Kamara, somebody to step up and take leadership role because Spencer Rattler. He has a lot of potential. It's a lot of upside. It's a lot of talent there. You can see the arm strength. You can see some good touch, some good accuracy, but nobody is stepping up on the offense, holding everybody accountability. And the defense just had let too many big plays go to the end. Too many blown coverages. Too many
Yeah,
blown
speaking
coverages.
on the Rattler thing, and if I'm one of those veterans that it almost feels like we don't have a veteran on offense right now, right? Like,
Right. That's how it
you have
seems.
Brandon Cooks out there, but I think we all know Brandon Cooks. He's never been uh, wide receiver one, and so I don't
He's
think he's
never
ever
been
had
really
to
vocal
be.
either.
Right, exactly. I don't think he's ever really had to be that vocal leader.
Right.
So at this point, I almost think, as Eric McCoy, it has to be you because you could see
Right.
when Drew Brees was
Absolutely.
locked in, Max Unger was there. He was grabbing guys, pushing them like go this way. So I think that's the next step I'd like to see McCoy take. He got some hate last week, and I think
Absolutely.
it's the first game of the season. I don't think he played much in the preseason, so I think it was just like getting the right direction going for him. But that's who I want to see personally become like that Davis of the offense because Rattler is having the time of his life right now trying to be QB1. He is. He goes to those film rooms and sees 0 and 8, 0 and 7, whatever. 0 and 8 now. Yeah, 0 and 8. That's on his mind. He's got way more on his plate right now to figure out. And I think he can become a leader. You see the energy in him, you see like the hypeness in him. But right now, he's year two, eighth game as a starter, 0 and 8. He needs someone else to kind of be that punching force on that offense for him until he gets everything else solidified. But to both of y'all's points, I mean, I know you guys kind of talked about it in the group chat, Caleb. If somebody would have told me that Spencer Rattler's only like downfall was a fumble, and everything else. And really, I kind of put the Alvin Kamara fumble on him too. That's one that I think you'd have to throw a better ball there, but that's beside the point. But if you would have told me that, Spencer Rattler threw 25 for 34, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, I'd have been like, we won by 20, right?
Right.
But we
Absolutely.
didn't. We didn't. And that's kind of the crazy thing for me, is the fact that like both of you guys hinted to as well as the offense, but or the defense, I'm sorry, but jumping into the next point, we're now 0-2 on the season. I don't think expectations were super high. I would have liked to at least win a home game early, being that back to back. We're in the dome. We didn't have to travel. We're not in an outdoor setting to be super overheated or cramping and things like that early in the season. But I think the bigger point of starting 0-2 is Rattler unfortunately is now 0-8, and I kind of mentioned that before Do you think I wish we could use the phrase "you can't rattle the rattler" because I think it's so awesome. But do you guys think that? Do you think is that in the back of his mind at all? Do you guys think that? I'll go backwards this time. I'll start with Reggie. 0-8. If you were the starting quarterback right now, is that in the back of your head as a second year guy?
Absolutely. It's almost like anything in life. You don't know that you can do it until you do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
Yeah,
almost like
and he
anything in
hasn't
life.
won at the pro level.
Yeah, you gotta crack that first win, man. You got to get
Yeah,
in win column. And I honestly think that Kellen Moore should shoulder some of this responsibility because I feel like the play calling hasn't been geared toward his attributes. Also, I think they behind schedule. I would like to see them pick up the pace and go to the hurry up offense and take some more shots down the field. If you notice early in the game, they went straight to Shaheed down the field. But I noticed they kind of got away from that. They got away from that. I would like to see Kellen Moore open up the playbook and let him attack. Let Rattler attack. Let him use that cannon he got for an arm. Let him use it. Let him throw it down there. Let him threaten the defense and push the pace a little bit. You know, let them speed it up. And as they're speeding it up, that tires the defensive line, and it also leaves opportunities for him to take off and use his legs because he's not one-dimensional. He can do both.
And you keep them both defensive linemen on the field. You keep them defensive linemen on the field. They're not going to want to chase a quarterback, even if he's not fast. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Michael Vick. He's not Phoenix or anything like that. But he's enough to run. And I mean, Drew Brees could run, and we saw him put spin moves on defensive linemen that. He wasn't athletic, but when they're tired, that's a different story, you know. But hopping over to you, Caleb, do you think, how do you, since we kind of asked Reggie if it's in the back of your mind, how do you think you kind of overcome that as whether it be Kellen Moore talking to him or Rattler? Do you just keep your head down? What do you think?
Yeah, before I get to that, I just want to touch on the Kellen Moore play calling. I actually disagree a little bit. I think last game, I looked at every play, and the play calling was not the best. In the second half last game, it was a little bit better, but it was still not what you wanted to see, and it just felt way too conservative. This game, I would actually say that I agree. In the first half, it definitely looked more like down the field, taking some risks, and it looked good. In the second half, I still like the play calling. I think Kellen Moore made the adjustment of, hey, we're going to run more, which is everything we've been asking for because the run game is so good right now. Why would you go away from it? And they started doing that in the first half. So I think they went closer, like more focused on the run game. But I also will agree, they did go away from tempo a little bit this game. They did do it, but a lot less than last game, which maybe was the penalty issue. Like they just saw, hey, we're causing penalties when we're doing the hurry up. But like they went away from it a lot more than I thought they were going to.
See, that
you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just going back to the 0-8 talk, like I think Rattler can remove that 0-8 away, but I don't think he's going to remove the 0-2 away. Like I think that's going to be on his mind starting the season. The fact you started the season 0-2 and there's a quarterback behind you waiting to come in. Because in my opinion, this game bought Rattler more time. Like I saw a quarterback that could play a year of football in this game. There are still issues. Accuracy is still an issue. He's not hitting players in stride, throwing behind players. I know that one touchdown to begin the game, Olave could have caught that, but let's be real. Tyler Shuck would have just in stride thrown that to Olave. Like we saw that all preseason. So that's something that still needs to be fixed. There's a little bit of decision making, but this was a clearly a better game from Rattler, and he bought more time. So I really think it's less about the 0-8, more about the 0-2.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. These two games are actually his games. The other games are not so much on him. These two games are his. Yeah, these two games are definitely his. And I have to agree with Caleb. The penalties are causing them to go away from the run a lot more than they should. Because even in the first half with them taking their shot, it still was balanced. They still had the run attack. But if you notice, the 49ers started packing the line of scrimmage, forcing them to throw the ball. They want them to throw the ball. So the balance was there. But those penalties, man, 49ers had no penalties the first half, not one. We had 5, I think. 5.
Yeah, I think it was 4. We had 1 in the second half, so I think it was 4 in the first half for us on off. I don't know. No, it was the a couple of defensive penalties, but it was definitely like you guys both said. Just it was cleaner this week for sure, and And Kellen Moore, I think he's going to learn. I think he's a first-year head coach, and he's not sure. He made the decision to say Rattler, right? So if his play calling is good, but the player isn't, it doesn't matter. It was his decision to say Rattler's my guy. But that's the thing to both of you guys' point. I think Kellen Moore needs to realize is, he said 3 weeks ago, this is my guy. Start to play toward your guy. Let him
Yes.
get some. I mean, I don't think we've seen maybe twice. And I've said before on this show, I'm not a big analytical guy. I'm not going to break down how many times the Saints have done play action versus the last 3 years. I'm not that guy. But from an eye test, I think twice we saw today Rattler roll out,
Right.
and one was not even designed. He rolled out and got the holding call because he started rolling out. That's one thing I'd like to see because to the point earlier, he is an athletic guy. And, roll out away from Bosa. There's no reason you should be standing 5 feet away from Bosa. That's silly to me. Like, get away from those guys. And he's athletic enough to where if he rolls out and that one corner's following Chris Olave to the left, guess what? That's a 5-yard gain now. That's the only thing I would like to see Kellen Moore do different. So in a way, I guess I agree with both of you guys. Like, more, the play calling was phenomenal this week compared to last week, but when it's phenomenal compared to bad, it's probably just good. You know what I'm saying? So, and then for me, hopping into the last point I have here before I open it up to you guys' points, I want to put a lot of blame on the secondary, but a part of me also wonders, what's the logic behind, and we have a new defensive coordinator too, right? But my
Right.
biggest frustration was, I don't think there's any question that Brock Purdy's out, Kittle's out. So your two best guys on that offense are Jennings and McCaffrey. McCaffrey was the number one guy before, but now he's truly the number one guy. So what's the logic behind putting, Saints fans know, the NFL knows, any guy who's watching film in the quarterback room knows, Pete Warner is probably the worst coverage linebacker. I don't want to say in the league. People were saying that. I'm not saying that. But definitely on the Saints roster, I think he's probably the worst coverage guy. He wants to run downhill. He's almost like a fullback, but on the other side of the ball. And that's okay. You need that. But what's the logic behind Demario Davis sitting in the middle of the field doing nothing and putting Juwan Jennings and Christian McCaffrey essentially one-on-one? The second one was a zone, and I think Werner just didn't know where to go. That's the unfortunate part of playing a zone. But again, you put him on the side of the field with Juwan Jennings and essentially gave him one-on-one coverage with Juwan. And then on the other side, you put him on one-on-one with Christian McCaffrey, who that was kind of a weird empty set where he was off to the side. What I saw was they were trying to bait the Saints into thinking Christian McCaffrey was going to run straight, and it worked. And I even posted on Twitter, give him 10 yards down the field. It's 3rd and 11. Guard the sticks. As soon as I saw Pete Warner turn his hips, I was like, why? Like, let the safety worry about him if he goes there. Guard the sticks. That's what they're going. And he fell for it. But I say all that to say, do you guys think this was a secondary or scheme issue for defense? Because, and I just point to those two, because like I said, I don't get into a lot of analytical things. There's some issues with Isaac Udom. I don't know if he's a starter in this league right now. But besides some of the things that he did, these silly plays, missed tackles, and defensive, when I was watching the game at first, like, man, we're getting burnt in the secondary. But then when I started seeing some decisions on the spread out view, like the Pete Werner things, or like Kool-Aid guarding a tight end, I'm like, is this a secondary issue or is this a scheme issue? And I'll flip it again, go to Caleb first, and then we'll come to you, Reggie, on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so just first focusing on Pete Werner, I mean, I'm in agreement. Like, you can't put him in coverage. It was actually something we talked about in the last Dome Discussions podcast for the episode. We were like, Saints can win this game, but who's going to cover McCaffrey? Like, do you put a safety on him? You can't put DeMario or Pete Werner on him because both of them have not been great in pass coverage. So, like, you can't put them on McCaffrey, but that's kind of what they did. And I also tweeted it. It's been an issue for a while. Like, coverage has been a really bad issue for this linebacker core for a long time. And love the Danny Stutzman pick, but he's not going to fix that. That's probably the worst thing he's at, or he's not great at that. And he is a really good linebacker, but pass coverage is not his strength. So, like, that's an issue. But I'm definitely blaming the secondary more than the scheme here. I think that Kool-Aid was quiet the first quarter or first half, which is good. Like they did not say his name at all, which is better than last week. But also he was making some mistakes. Alontae Taylor was getting beat at times, and he had a good first half, but in the second half it wasn't great. And Isaac Yiadom, like I have a lot of gripes with Isaac Yiadom. I just don't understand why they're playing him at this point. I loved the signing. I think it still contract wise, great contract, but as a fourth cornerback on this team, I think he's a good fourth cornerback on this team. And I'm just saying, put Quincy Riley out there and see what you have, because if you're already this low with Adam, with missed tackles, and he had better tacklings in the fourth quarter, but missed tackles, 2 penalties. I mean, getting targeted from this offense, might as well put in Quincy Riley just to see what you have. So I think it's a little bit more of a secondary issue than a scheme issue.
Yeah. What about you, Reggie? What do you think?
As far as y'all gotta excuse me. I know the music probably bothering y'all, man. Can y'all hear me pretty good?
No, yeah, we can
You're
hear you.
good,
I don't really
you're
hear the music too much. Yeah, you're good.
Honestly, I think it's a combination of both. Honestly, I think it's a combination of a little bit of both. Honestly, because the bright spot on the defense definitely has to be Carl Granderson. He's a monster. Carl Granderson is wreaking havoc. He's on it. He on it. I think that with Pete Warner is very interesting because I love Pete games. He doesn't necessarily have ball skills, but the athleticism is there. He can keep up with those tight ends. He can keep up with those running backs. The speed is there. He's a speedy linebacker. It's just when the ball is in the air, it's ball placement. And sometimes I think he gets kind of confused too. He overplays sometimes. The speed carries him over the play. He overplays and over-pursues the play. Now, as far as the secondary goes, I think it's a little bit of confusion going on back there with the scheme. I don't think that our cornerbacks are. I don't think that the secondary players I don't think they're a step down. I think it's actually the scheme. I think they're trying to grow into the scheme. I honestly would like to see them play a lot of nickel with Alontae Taylor being on the field with him attacking more. You know, him sort of in that hybrid third linebacker / nickelback, and you know he led the league in sacks for defensive backs last year, and this year he has maybe 3 sacks already. I would like to see him attack off that edge more and put more pressure and not give the offense so much time to decide and be decisive where they want to go. I actually think it's a little bit of both, accumulation of both things going on. I think it's a little confusion back there, and I do think the scheme is playing a part of it too.
And I will say real quick, like the missing Chase Young is so big right now.
Yes.
Because the starter, like I love Carl Granderson. I think he leads the NFL in sacks right now. Cam Jordan still looks like he's flying. Like I know he didn't get a sack this game, but he still looks good. Brian Brzee looks great at D tackle, and Devon Godshot's going to do great in run game. And Vernon Broughton did well this game. Like you have the starting pieces, but
have the people.
The depth is not good. Like I really don't like the depth. Like I know Chris Rumpf had that the sack fumble, but he fell down and the tackle gave up on him and he flew right by. Like it wasn't him beating the tackle and immediately getting that sack. Like the depth is just not good enough, and it's throughout the whole game in that second quarter, the defensive line did not look as good as it did in the first half. And it could be being tired. It could just not be having enough players. And that's one of the reasons I'm like, hey, I don't care what happens this season. Next offseason, if you're going with one of these quarterbacks currently on your team, you're drafting an edge rusher in the first round. I don't care who it is. You're drafting someone because they can be amazing, but I just don't think they're there yet. Like that's the issue with some parts of this team. It's like the starters, you have good starting players, but like the depth is just not going to carry enough. And it's just like they need to take that extra step with the defensive line, but that really hurt because if your defensive line doesn't get anywhere, the offense is going to then target the cornerbacks. And if the cornerbacks are struggling, or even if they're not struggling and they're tired, they're going to get picked apart then. That's something we saw in Dennis Allen's last 2 years with the Saints. Like the defensive line wasn't playing well, and then the cornerbacks weren't playing well because the defensive line, even though we had Marshall Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, and Alontae Taylor, and Glenn McKinstry last year. So like it's definitely a mix of a bunch of things, and I think Brandon Staley's doing as much as he can right now with this current team.
Who is the quarterback of the secondary? Where are we gonna replace Tyrann Mathieu? I think that's a big loss.
Yeah, I think bringing in Julian Blackman was kind of the answer to that question. He was kind of a veteran waiting for a team that he wanted to play for, I think. But obviously, I think it's got to be Reed now. But I think you're asking a lot of a guy who kind of came in. Um, I don't know. It's a good question, but I think someone has to. Maybe we'll get
Who's the-
lucky and
I like Alontae
Jonas.
Taylor, man. I think he's the fire in there. I think Alontae Taylor is the fire in the secondary.
He's got the attitude, right? But I think
Yeah,
the thing is it's almost like I'll reference the Pelicans, even though this is the Saints show. When your best two players a couple of years ago were Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, they could talk all they want, but guys are going to listen to players like Jose Alvarado who are making the difference on the court, and
right.
and I don't think Alante's making the difference, and I love him. I think that he has again a high ceiling. That's the biggest problem that I have with our secondary right now. All of these guys, you see the talent, you see the ceiling,
Yeah,
but then you see the floor and you're like, what are we doing? Why are we playing this way?
absolutely.
But I think if
Totally agree.
anybody going way back could have guarded consistently. You talked about throwing Quincy in, and I almost felt the same way about Sanker today. Was you praised him all off season through the preseason, saying this guy is NFL ready. I understood the logic behind going and getting Julian Blackman. It made sense, but your first game that you really could have put Jonas to the test. He's about the same size as McCaffrey. He's probably not as athletic as McCaffrey, but you're not asking him to tackle him alone every single play. You're asking him to guard him. That's what kind of shocked me. I think that it would have made sense to maybe if you're convinced that you want to put someone like Pete Werner on Christian McCaffrey. Mac Jones isn't a runner. Brock Purdy's a little more mobile. Mac Jones isn't going to do that. I think you can sacrifice that safety a little closer to the 10-yard first down marker, wherever it is, because outside of Jennings, I don't know who's beating you over the top. So,
Right,
that's what I would have liked to see personally. That would have made more sense to me. And again, you throw the guy in the fire, you see how he responds, and if he responds poorly, then you know what you got. If he
right.
responds well, you definitely know what you got. And that was like the only thing that I was kind of shocked on that, and Sanker had a pretty good game, all things considered, but
Like I
when
think
when
he
you
was the.
don't
I think he had
hear,
the best defensive back game out of all the
I
Saints
agree.
defensive
I
backs.
agree.
Like
In two
I
weeks
think,
too.
yeah, maybe Blackman last game. Like Blackman had a great
Right.
game last game, but like I feel comfortable with Sanker at that, like as the safety of the future
Exactly.
right now. Like I don't have
Yeah.
any worries. Like he looks better than Justin Reed, looks better than any cornerback. It's just like safety's not as important as cornerbacks.
Right.
And that's the issue because if you're supposed to be number one corner,
Right.
Kool-Aid is not playing up to a number one corner. I think he's playing decent, but just
He played good this game, but he's not living up to that number one
like
cornerback spot.
he's not Marshawn Lattimore. Like he is not going to be Marshawn Lattimore, and that's what it is. But if you're going to have Alontae Taylor at slot playing that role, you need to have another boundary corner. You could have not all teams need a number one dominant corner, but two good ones are important. And that's kind of the issue right now. And that's I talked about edge rusher being a need going into the offseason. Cornerback is 100% going to be a need also.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really it's unfortunate that these guys, they could almost trick you into thinking you don't need a better secondary because they have these plays where every now and again you're like, oh, and I still, like I said, I think they've moved Alante around a lot in like the role that he's playing, and so I think he's kind of struggling to find his footing in this defense. But I almost feel like you almost need someone to tell Kool-Aid what DA told him when he got drafted. And DA, excellent defensive coordinator. He's the type of guy and the attitude that you want for your defense, but obviously didn't work out as head coach. But you want someone to tell him, I'll call you Kool-Aid when you bring the juice, right? Right now you're not bringing the juice,
He
but
got a lot of everybody got on that hype train for a little while.
exactly, yeah, and that's such a good way to word it. I'll call you Kool-Aid. I don't care what your grandma calls you. Like I'm gonna call you Kool-Aid when you're in the juice.
Right.
But we'll kind of open it up to, like I said, we always like to throw a guest segment in here. We'll start with you, Caleb. Anything that we didn't talk about that you kind of want to bring up?
Yeah, I want to focus on the offensive line a little bit. I'm an offensive line guy. I mean, I look at
Mhm.
these I'm more of a draft guy, so I look at all the draft prospects. I'm an offensive line guy. Kelvin Banks is an
Oh,
absolute
he's playing
dog.
awesome.
He is
He's playing
like
awesome.
he is
He's
playing better
playing
than
awesome.
Fuaga played last year, which is something. Like that's huge. That's like you don't have to worry about left tackle again. And Fuaga, the only reason he's playing bad, I honestly think, is because of injuries. Like his knee is something, and he shouldn't play next game if it's still something. Like I really think he needs to just allow a tackle to practice there for the whole week. And look, that might be an issue next game, but you're 0-2. Like I don't want to risk Fuaga's health for the long term to get a win here. So, and I like Dylan Radins did decent. Eric McCoy did decent. Ruiz had one bad block on a run play, but like he played decent. Like this offensive line, that you are winning the trenches.
Yeah.
Which is like again, you need to improve the edge rush room and deep tackle depth, but like you're still doing pretty well. You're getting sacks. You're having a good offensive line. Like if there's one thing to take away from this season is you could feel a little comfortable about the trenches, which is like the main thing Kellen Moore wanted to do right away.
Yeah, I'll point to offensive line play real quick. This was the stat. I complained last week and I complained earlier this week, run the dang ball. I was a little upset that Neal didn't get a lot of action, but with a young quarterback, your mission should be running the ball. And it's not like we have, and these are names that people will get if only you're a Saints fan, but it's not like you have, Chris Ivory and Mike Bell back there running the ball right. And those are great running backs when they were here, but this is Alvin Kamara we're talking about. Alvin Kamara, whatever you call him, he's still AK at the end of the day, right? And never mind the fact that Neal didn't get touches. I wish he would have. I love the guy. He seems like he's going to be a stud for us. But you have 30 rushing attempts for 4 yards per rush. I'm not great at math, but I'm pretty sure that's a first down if you just run the ball every play. 4, 8, 12, first down, 4, 8, 12, first down. And that was one thing I was happy that it seemed like the play calling kind of adjusted. It looked like midway through the second quarter, all of a sudden we were like, oh shoot, we do have Alvin Kamara, Like it was almost like Christian McCaffrey reminded us that we got this guy. But when your offensive line is allowing you to get 4 yards a carry rushing the ball, yeah, you're doing something right. And before we jump to Reggie for the guest segment there, I just want to say, I told my brother and my dad we were watching the game, and I saw Kelvin Banks do something, and I was like, that's how you know he's got a lot of reps on the line because he felt. I don't know if it was Alvin or Kendra. He felt them on his hip, and he didn't fall. He kind of jumped and put himself, he was like, I'm guarding my legs. And that's just a lot of reps at the position that when you start to feel that, like you're about to get rolled up and you don't want to. And that's how you protect your knees as a big man, right? Like you want your ankles and your legs. And I just thought it was so funny. I was like, this guy's a rookie. And he's out there like doing things that you see like Staley do, or not Brandon Staley. The Saturday, the center for the Colts for years, he would kind of like always keep his legs moving forward. That way, if someone does fall, they're not on the. And it's little stuff like that that's going to give you a very long career in the NFL. But Reggie, you got anything in a Saints wise kind of a guest segment here for you, like Caleb did, that you want to bring up that we didn't talk about?
Honestly, I was going to speak on exactly what Caleb spoke on with Calvin, because I seen him run to the sideline to protect his quarterback. That was very impressive to me. It looked like they was kind of scared to run up on him too.
Yeah,
but
that's a big boy, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a man child. He's definitely a man child. I definitely want to speak, and you came to iterate the second point. I was going to talk about the run game. We all getting a nice clip per carry, but I think the way that they're gaining the yards is it's not telling the whole story. It's like the yards that they're gaining with Kamara, it seems as though they're catching the defense out of position. So it's not like they're necessarily pounding, just bullying the other team. And I noticed that the Niners defense is very, very athletic, and they actually were keying on Kamara the whole time. They're waiting for that swing pass. They're waiting for that screen. That's why I like the way the coach, he threw the screen to Juwan Johnson, the tight end, instead of Kamara. So I'm wondering, like you spoke on all those great running back by committee, running back Bell and all those other guys. It's now Alvin Kamara's team. It's his time. He's the Mark Ingram of this time. So where's our Kamara? Will we go to where's our rookie Alvin Kamara? Will we go to the guy we had in Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU?
Mhm.
Where would we go? Who's that? Who's going to complement Alvin Kamara? Because when Kamara's in the game, he's getting keyed on. If it's not by Mike linebackers or out linebacker, they're keying on him. He's getting chipped everywhere he goes. So I honestly would like. I might be a little biased in me saying this, but I think the Saints should move and go to get a bigger, stronger back, an every down back, like maybe Leonard Fournette. You know what I'm saying? Bring somebody like him in, just to keep everybody honest. A little ground and pound.
Yeah.
And I think Devin Neal could be that also. Like we saw I think he had 2 runs last week, and he just ran straight into the defense and picked up 5 yards. Like in our episode after that, I said he basically was the James Conner for the Saints against the Cardinals. Like he just ran straight and picked up yards, which is I wish he played this game because I would have loved to see that. And I honestly think he could have pushed this defensive line back more, which would have been fun to see. So like I think he could be, and that's why I said I was like the group of Kamara, Kendre, and Devin Neal, they just are all different types of players. So like they could all bring something else. And Kendre Miller is more similar to Alvin Kamara, but they're still different. Like, and by the way, another thing, we're like Kendre Miller picked up 2 blitzes that I haven't seen him pick up in his whole career. Like those were, you are growing as a player, which is Dennis Allen decided to put him on the IR when he wasn't injured.
Alvin Kamara missed those same blocks this game. He missed the blitz. I was surprised.
Yep.
I was surprised.
And that was like one that rather almost got hit by that blitz and like rushed out really quickly. And then my last thing, the 4th down play, 4th and 2, when they did the 2 running back set, and then Rattler ran out and then made his own play. I don't know what that was, but it was amazing. Like I love seeing that. That was just something like cool from Kellen Moore that I was like, I don't know what that play call was, but it worked, and hey, it was fun. Like that's the stuff that Kellen Moore could do, and that was really fun.
Yeah, no, that was probably my favorite play of the game. Yeah, it was probably my favorite play of the game because it was almost like Kellen Moore was like, "Hey, I'm putting Chris Olave, I'm putting Jawan Johnson, I'm putting Kendre Miller, and I'm putting Alvin Kamara out there with you. These are the best 4 guys we have offense. Make something happen." Like that's what that play felt like. It was just like I'm putting the faith in you. Do what you got to do to make this a 4th and 2. And I don't know what the play call was. He probably said 73 line 49 blue, and Spencer knew what that was, but. Whatever it was, it worked, and that was the fun part. And I think you just showed his athleticism well because he had to choose between Alvin Kamara and Rattler, but that juke move wasn't anything to shake your head at. Like that was a solid juke that he got the line or the corner or the safety. I don't even remember who it was, but he put them on the ground. It wasn't like they were backpedaling and it fell backwards. Like he left them where they were, and that was fun to see. But one thing I want to put up here before we go into the closing parts here, I was curious because I know Devin Neal sometimes looks shorter next to Kendre and AK, but he's actually 5'11". I don't know if that's true or not, but 5'11" and 214. Mark Ingram 5'9" and 215. So if we're looking for comparisons and that guy like the Thunder and Lightning, I think he could be the Thunder, and I think Miller almost offers both of those and just a different package. So I think we're set at running back for probably the next 5 or 6 years if we can retain these guys and contracts didn't become an issue. And again, I say it to the point where it didn't quite work out to where Allen wasn't the leader that you needed. But that almost could have gave Kendre Miller a reality check that you're here to play professional football, and he could go to another team and be benched the same way he was here in New Orleans. So I'm glad to see him succeeding because it's fun to watch him play, and those blocks. One I think was I think it was the unnecessary roughness that Rattler got when Rattler ran all the way to the side. He still picked it up. And what I thought was almost impressive was when he hit the block the first time, what allowed Spencer to run out was you could see Miller kind of do this. He wanted to know where Rattler was, so he knew which way to shift because he realized he kind of missed it the first time, but he's like, I'm not going to miss it again. And it was just at that point too much time, and Rattler already broke out, so your offensive linemen aren't going to hold. And that was the only reason it looked worse than it was. But like you said, there were 2 times where it was like, man, this guy can really block, and not just like put your shoulder into somebody. Like he had like textbook blocking, which is
Like
great to see.
if you're
But
gonna have a season like this, growth from young players is the best thing you could see. Like I feel comfortable about Kendra Miller next season. That's all I wanted to see this season. Like it's gonna be something we look at for Sanker, Brian, any rookie, any second year player, any third year player. I don't care if you're in your first contract. Show me why you should be here this or next season. That's going to be
right.
the big. If the Saints are going to lose these games and maybe have a bad record and have a top draft pick, these young players need to prove that they should be on this team, and I think a lot of them are right now.
Yeah, no, and that was one thing I said at the pregame show was bridging the gap, right? If this isn't the season that we win games, your veterans showed in Demario Davis and Cameron Jordan last week that they're still here to play. They don't care what the scoreboard says. They don't, but that's what a veteran does, right? They're on the field to play football. But what we need to see is the other ones, and like you said, I think these first 2 weeks, you have guys who are definitely going to be out there next year, and it's going to be fun to watch them grow because they're doing a lot right, and it's great to see. But um, well, I don't know, Reggie dropped off, but we'll still give him a little shout out here. Reggie joined us. We appreciate it. Follow him on Twitter at REGGI Bang Bang. So Reggie without the other E there. And then, of course, follow Dome Discussions. They're going to be doing pretty much weekly, pre-week analysis, if that makes sense. And then post game shows. All you guys all offer something unique and different to the show, which is great because it gives a well-rounded show, frankly. And I mean, obviously, I'm biased because it's under the No Network,
I'm
but it
also
is a really good
biased,
show.
so
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we'll let you decide. That's all I got to say. At Dome Discussions on Twitter. We post everything, through the know for them on that, and I know you guys will have something coming probably tomorrow. I haven't quite looked at the group chat as much today, but probably tomorrow. Caleb will be there, so make sure again you follow at Dome Discussions, and then yours is Caleb. You say because I know
at
it's
Caleb, it's at Caleb Yak.
okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember Jackarino because or if I'm saying that right, but
Honestly,
cool.
perfect pronunciation.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. I just went. I heard you say New Jersey earlier, and I was like, "There's a little bit of tie-in on that last name." So, cool. But yeah, follow Know Discussions, follow Know, be in the know everywhere. And yeah, we appreciate you guys stopping in, chatting it up. And we'll be here next week. So who dat? Win or loss, we'll be here. Have a good one.